I love Allosaurus. Other dinosaurs may be bigger, other dinosaurs may be more powerful, but Allosaurus is my guy. He's the scrappy super predator, the largest and most fearsome predator of the Jurassic, who was also constantly getting his Allosaurus ass handed to him over and over. Whether it was getting his jaw shattered, rolling his ankle a little too hard, or just straight up getting a Thagomizer to the balls, it seemed Allosaurus was always the subject of Mesozoic abuse. Life was tough in the Jurassic, and life was tougher for an Allosaurus.
Allosaurus had never seen such bullshit before.
But it's this position as the underdog, as well as the amazing number of fossil remains and how much has been learned from them, that makes me love Big Al so much. And as a person who loves Allosaurus so much, and also happens to love action figures as well, there was only one question in my mind. Which is the best Allosaurus action figure? Hey guys, Gary the Gremlin here, but I can't deal with that now, because today is Allosaurus versus Allosaurus. That's right, this video is our first ever, drumroll please, Dino debate. Can I get a hoopla? Hoopla. Today we try and determine which is best, the super scientifically accurate version or the stylized film star. Maybe in the future we'll expand this concept to looking at all the toys of a species I have, but for now, we're doing Creative Beast Studios versus Mattel. This is all an arbitrary war anyways, because I love both for different reasons. Different. You know, because Allosaurus means different lizard. Yeah, okay. But first, this Cyberzoic Allosaurus figure was provided to me for this review by Big Bad Toy Store. Big Bad Toy Store is my favorite online retailer where you can find the best collectibles, action figures, statues, and more. I've been a customer of theirs for well over a decade. I've got the newsletters to prove it. They used to include one of these with every shipment, and I've got enough to use as wallpaper. They've got plenty of dinosaur figures in stock, including none other than our main two contestants today. Make sure to click that link in the description and get your own Allosaurus today. Okay, game plan. First, we'll talk about each Allosaurus individually. Cyberzoic will get his official channel introduction and review, and then the Hammond Collection one will get a re-review. Then, we'll compare notes, decide the best Allosaurus. Mazel tov, it's a boy, you like, comment, and subscribe, and we're done. As it is still his official debut on the channel, let's properly introduce the Creative Beast Studios Cyberzoic Allosaurus Gemidsini. Say hi everyone! Here's the box with some lovely artwork on the front and the back, as well as some cool stats and product shots of his separately sold armor. Cyberzoic as a line is an evolution of Beasts of the Mesozoic. While BOTM was simply dinosaurs, Cyberzoic is dinosaurs plus technology, armor, riders, and so on. It's dinosaurs plus iPads. Apparently the Allosaurus belongs to the Technologist clan, and if this is all sounding really cool to you, you can also buy the Dragon Slayer converting armor and its pilot, Argentus. Is that Argentus or Argentius? We're gonna call him Argentius. I would have killed for this kind of playset experience as a kid, and it looks super sweet. I also really appreciate the transparency from Creative Beast Studios as a company. They chose to sell all this separately. They could have easily paywalled this amazing Allosaurus figure behind an additional $70 of accessories, but they chose not to. In toy industry terms, that makes them basically saints. If Mattel had made this, you'd have to buy the Allosaurus's foot separately and unlock the jaw as a crowdfunding stretch goal. Creative Beast Studios also always makes a gorgeous deal out of the box, complete with collector's cards and everything. Make note of all this for the comparison. Creative Beast Studios already gets points for being a top-notch company. Getting the Allosaurus out of the box, we've got a whole boatload of accessories, which, if you'll hold your horses, we'll get to soon enough. There's so many accessories here, I feel like I didn't just order an Allosaurus. I must have accidentally ordered an Allosaurus and its entire apartment. I really like this Allosaurus. There's now 3 different versions of this figure: the green Beast of the Mesozoic one, this one, and then the 1/35th scale red one. Out of all of those, this one definitely has my favorite color scheme. It's so perfect. In fact, I love this Allosaurus design so much, I drew it. I made this a long time ago, directly inspired by this figure, but of course with my own creative liberties. You know it's bad when you're so excited for an action figure it leaks over into your other hobbies. Point is, long story short, I love this brown Allosaurus. I don't mind the red one at all. Looks great, job well done. But to be completely honest, I actively dislike the green one. Just seems way too bright and garish for me. The green one was released a couple months before this one, and it hurt me to see so many of my collector friends getting the green one in hand long before this guy was even in stock anywhere. But he was well worth the wait. Look at these spooky and dark colors. I think he's going to make the perfect companion piece to the Beast of the Mesozoic Stegosaurus. It makes so much sense in my mind that a large herd animal like the Stegosaurus would have bright, flashy colors to ward off predators and attract mates, but then that said predator would have dark, earth tones to blend in with the foliage of the forest. It seems so well thought out, perfect Mesozoic world building. Although I may not be the #1 fan of Allosaurus Green Edition, I do love that these separate releases were used as a way to technically create different species. This gray one is Allosaurus jimicini, while the green guy is Allosaurus fragilis. However, it's not just the paint scheme that sets these two apart. No, Creative Beast Studios went the extra step and made the head sculpts completely different between the two of them. That is just so cool to see. Really going the extra mile there. Also, brief Gary the Gremlin rant. You're telling me there are 4 different species of Allosaurus and I'm just learning this today? I knew Allosaurus fragilis, jimicini, and anax, but apparently there's an Allosaurus europaeus? You think you know a guy, and then you learn he's got a whole nother secret species floating around out there. As for the actual figure, I don't think there's hardly anything I can talk about paleo accuracy-wise that's inaccurate. I'm actually stumped. You know that's something crazy when I, a person who is in all respects kind of an expert at nitpicking dinosaur toys, has no nitpicks. I have nothing to say about it accuracy-wise. Purely from a paleontological standpoint, I think this is likely the closest you can get to a real Allosaurus, short of hopping in a time machine and meeting the dinosaur itself. Everything from the proportions to the skin detailing is spot on to what scientists have discovered about Allosaurus. For example, one of the really cool discoveries made with Allosaurus were patches of fossilized skin impressions, letting us know that Allosaurus had some extremely fine scales ranging from 1 to 2 millimeters apart for its skin. This is really amazingly captured on this figure. The scales are sculpted so miniature and smoothly as to give the impression of very, very small scales. Look at these itty bitty ones on his hands. They're so small and fine. By the way, massive arms. Dude lifts. Look at how fearsome and giant these claws are. He's giving Therizinosaurus a run for its money. The subtlety in sculpting these extremely fine veins and wrinkles in the hide is fantastic. I really love it here on the neck, or here on the back of the thigh and the ankle. It's so clear with this figure that they designed it first, starting with the skeleton, then building muscle mass and fat out from there, and then seeing how skin would realistically lay over that. Creative Beast Studios is out here making museum-quality dinosaur figures with detail so accurate that it could be used in a classroom setting on a mass-produced scale. It's bonkers.
Help me!
The paint detail here is also so amazing. Owe it to Creative Beast Studios to make another grayish-brown carnivore design, but actually make it look really great and eye-catching. It's of course accomplished because even though most of him looks brown, there's still so many different colors blended in here. Dark reds that fade into reddish browns, outlined with sharp black and patches of white and cream. The striping design along the tail is really nice, and I love how it goes from these sleepy, big lumps to these sharp, clean black bands at the tip. I really love these eyes right here. The orange and black is super simple, but it works great. Very cleanly applied paintwork. Even still, another highlight are these really subtle instances of green on the neck and face, and even here on the underbelly. Deep down, I guess he really also was a green Allosaurus all along. Run from it, hide from it, green Allosaurus is inevitable. I also personally chose this deco because I think it makes him stick out among my other Creative Beast Studios dinosaurs. Size comparison, round 1. From the tip of his tail to the top of his snout, the Cyberzoic Allosaurus is right at 20 inches long and standing in a neutral pose to the top of his back just over 6 inches tall. First up, let's get the usual size comparisons in. Action Master Grimlock, the Gary the Gremlin Council of Raptors, and some 1/18th scale human characters. Oh, wait, my bad. Big Malcolm's there too. Next up, for some Beastie Buddy comparisons, the itty bitty Zuniceratops, my previous review, the Cyberzoic Allosaurus, the juvenile Triceratops, the adult Triceratops, and last, fellow Jurassic predator, the Dilophosaurus. Rounding it out, here's the Hammond Collection Carnotaurus, Baryonyx, Stegosaurus, and finally, the Allosaurus. Spoilers, you will be seeing this figure again later. It's really great to see the size comparison between this Allosaurus and the adult Triceratops. Although, of course, these two never actually met, I feel like this gives a very good idea of how the Allosaurus will scale next to the upcoming Stegosaurus. If you could not tell, I'm beyond excited for the Stegosaurus. For me, the Allosaurus is pretty much just the pre-game to the Stegosaurus. Don't get me started on Stegosaurus. I will say, though the size of this figure is by no means small, it did feel a little underwhelming getting it out of the package. I'm not sure, I think it's just that the Achillobator completely blew me away with how large it was, because I was not expecting it to be that big. This Allosaurus scales really well next to any human figures and looks massive next to them, but I think especially next to Mattel figures, it looks small. Mostly since most of those Mattel figures are oversized anyways. It's not a big deal. It's a relatively small problem. No pun intended. Last main thing is the articulation. You know what time it is. Posing time. First up, you've got this opening jaw, which can hinge open really far, and then even farther if you move the neck piece out of the way. The tongue is on a ball joint, so he can make some silly faces. Look at that goober. The neck has an impressively great range of motion. Sometimes these beastie figures can have very limited neck articulation, case in point, the Utyrannus, but here it's fantastic. Really shows you how much Creative Beast Studios has grown as a company in such a relatively short amount of time. At the base of the neck, there's a ball joint allowing a swivel, as well as great range side to side and up and down. This next section has possibly the most range out of all of these segments, going really far down, up, and side to side. Last, there's this ball joint at the back of the head, which has a decent range side to side, a little bit down, and basically nothing up. It's okay. It looks like two joints because this clever little rubber piece that sits floating here to cover up the joint. The shoulders have got a really great range outwards and all around, though I wish the elbows were the same. They hinge and swivel as any good elbows should, great stuff there, but the range, it's really limited. The wrist swivel is a little useless because it's so oval shaped that it can't actually rotate, but it can hinge and there's a fine range of motion there. There's this torso section joint, which, while really appreciated, just isn't able to move much. It gives the slightest amount all around. However, the thighs get things going again with a fantastic range of motion, a kick that can spread super far out from the body, and great range on the rotation. The knees can go decently back, and surprise, a little bit forward. The ankle hinges and swivels, and the toes hinge and swivel as well. Last thing, the tail has this nice big ball joint at the base. A second segment here with another ball joint, and this final segment with a ball joint and a bendy wire. The bendy wire might just be made out of vibranium. This thing is tough. It can really take some force to get it to bend, but the range is not bad once you're able to. And overall, that's the articulation as a whole. Not bad, but not really good either. Some of it is really good, that neck range sure is a highlight, but it kind of still feels very awkward and stilted. It's hard to get this guy into any pose that feels crazier than him just standing there, or him standing there looking a little bit menacing. But on the topic of standing, it's great to know that this Allosaurus can do just that. In the past, Creative Beast Studios tried to solve their large theropod action figure balance problem in a unique way. Unique doesn't always mean good. Their solution was to have a pair of completely static legs that you could swap with the articulated legs, so you could place your dinosaur on an included base. This was no good. It was really awkward, led to a ton of paint chipping, and just made the figure annoying to handle. Poor Yutyrannus. Thankfully, Creative Beast Studios is the best to ever do it, and they listened to fans and changed their method. Now, all the large carnivores just have articulated legs and come with an included stand. Like this one. This easy-to-assemble stand has these really cool foam pads underneath to keep it from sliding on smooth surfaces, like my desk, or theoretically a big bald head. What? Why did I write that? It's got this big old cradle for holding onto the Allosaurus, but the good news is that you don't need it most of the time. For long-term posing, I tend to use a stand, but the rest of the time, he's fine and dandy on his own 2 feet. In my experience, the Yutyrannus and the Dilophosaurus can barely stand for a second without their stands, so this is a really great improvement. The stand also has these little pegs, which fit nicely not just up your nose, but also in these holes at the bottom of the Allosaurus's flat feet. That's great at holding him up, and a good enough segue as any into the rest of the accessories. All his feet. Good God, there's just always so many of them. In total, there's 3 different sets. The normal flat ones, good for standing. These arched ones, good for running. And these droopy ones, good for, well, I guess good for drooping? I don't make the rules, that's just how it is, folks. These are really great and are probably the #1 reason to use the stand, so you can get some more dynamic and crazy poses using them. Overall, this is a really great Allosaurus. Like most Creative Beast Studios dinosaurs, it airs just a little bit more on the side of being a display piece than being a functional action figure. But as it goes for scientifically accurate, badass dinosaurs, you just can't get much better than this. This figure feels like it aims to do justice to the extinct species Allosaurus, and I'd say it does so greatly. But hey, don't click off the video yet, we're just getting started. Though the Cyberzoic Allosaurus may be the perfect recreation of an actual Allosaurus, we still got someone else to talk about. Because though scientific accuracy may be really cool and greatly appreciated, there's a large portion of people who say phooey to that and want a big, silly, evil carnivore. Say hello to the Hammond Collection Battle at Big Rock Allosaurus.
Wow.
I've reviewed this figure already a long time ago, and you've probably already seen that video. It just passed 55,000 views, which is insanity. That's about as many subscribers as I have, though we're currently trying to do our best to get that number to 69,000 by the end of the year. Consider aiding the cause. Like, comment, and subscribe. As I was saying, I've talked about this guy before in depth multiple times. Hell, when I originally did my series ranking the Hammond Collection, it won first place, and for good reason. This is a great toy. First up, since it's only fair, let's take a look at this Allosaurus's box. Oh, yeah, wait, no, I threw it away. Okay, damn it, give me a sec. So this is the Hammond Collection Allosaurus's box, which, to be honest, is bland and forgettable. What's up with giving these things Black Void premium boxes, huh? It's still always going to be my opinion, no matter how much you dress it up and call it an action figure or a premium collector's item, this is still just a toy. Might as well have fun with it and give it an awesome box like the Cyberzoic Allosaurus has. I get this is a really weird point to make, but I feel like there's no need being ashamed of liking dinosaurs and buying toys, and you should just do what you want to do and not try to make excuses for why it's okay. Just do it. Put the clip of Shia LaBeouf there, come on. I specifically said earlier that boxes would not be part of the final dino debate comparison, and I'm only doing that because I no longer have the Hammond collection one. But if it were, Cyberzoic would win that faster than me clicking the pre-order for the Stegosaurus. As for the actual figure, I love this Allosaurus a lot too.
Wow.
2 cakes, man. 2 cakes. Quite obviously, off the bat, it's clear that this guy is not going for any sort of paleo accuracy. Maybe it's just that we've already done 15-ish minutes of pure distilled accurate Allosaurus essence in figure form, but this Hollywoodificated Jurassic World Allosaurus is feeling particularly egregious today. But I can get over it because unlike the Giganotosaurus or the Atrociraptors, this Allosaurus has some things done right. At least, at bare minimum, it is instantly recognizable as an Allosaurus. It's got that going for it. These 2 iconic head crests, the long, lean body, the 3 claws. The average person with only the most casual knowledge of dinosaurs would realize that this is at least not a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I have to say, this is a great color scheme for an Allosaurus as well. This toy is not entirely accurate to the film version. I think it would need to be a lot more grayer to be right, but this works better for me, of course. I don't mind having more colorful or bright dinosaurs for the most part, and this one looks good. Unlike the green Allosaurus. I really love this striping here on the leg and the faintest suggestion of some red here on the nose. Just makes me wish that the designers of the film dinos wouldn't be afraid to add a little bit more patterning or striping, just something a bit more to make it visually distinct. I've had enough of vague color gradients. Give me stark contrast. Oh, okay. I didn't mean that. You know I didn't mean that. Get that out of here. Anyways, the color scheme here ain't half bad, though the paint detail is very lacking. It's just flat. We've got essentially a 2-toned figure here. The nails and the toe claws are picked out in a nice dark gray, though it's worth noting that they skimped on painting the dew claw, even on this oh so fancy premium figure. Who would have thought? I do really love the slightly pale color of pink used for the inside of the mouth, and the plastic it's cast out of has a really nice sheen to it, making it look like the inside of the mouth is actually wet. That's great. There's also these fantastic rubber teeth, which are always such a pleasure to see. I'm not the biggest fan of how they're still visible outside his mouth when he closes his jaws, but the rubber is really so great in making them look sharp and dangerous. These rubber teeth are possibly the best invention of the Hammond collection, and Allosaurus here is definitely going to get some major points for them. There's also rubber used for these spikes down the back, and I can't be the only one tired by this horny-ass design philosophy, right? Does Universal think we wouldn't recognize a dinosaur as dangerous if it's not covered in all sorts of manner of sharp spikes? I'm just tired of every large carnivore having to have scoots and scales and giant spikes all over it when we know that's not really what most of them look like. The sculpted detail in these spikes and scoots is really good, as well as the scale detail all over the rest of the body. It's clearly a really big step over the normal level of sculpted detail Mattel's mainline toys usually get. I especially love these little scars carved into the head sculpt. It really gives this toy some personality and life. On the topic of head sculpt, however, shouldn't this Allosaurus have a blind eye? I haven't watched Camp Cretaceous, and you can't make me watch it, but if this is supposed to be the specific Battle at Big Rock Allosaurus like the box suggests, then it should have the blind eye, right? Anyways, I fully understand the decision not to include that, because, it limits it from being just that Allosaurus, but it would have been cool if they included an alternate swappable head sculpt or something to make it that Allosaurus. Still not sure how I rest on these glass eyes though. It's such a fun concept, and on some figures it works great, but here on the Allosaurus, it's one of the worst examples of it. The eyes are just so small that they can hardly catch the light, and even if you're looking at them from the right angle to catch the pupil, it still looks dull and lifeless because you can barely see in there. And if it sounds like I'm beating up on the Hammond Collection Allosaurus a lot more than the Cyberzoic one, it's because, yeah, I am. But one area where he objectively shines is his articulation. Second posing time. Starting with the mouth, he's got separately articulating halves, so you can open the mouth normally or super wide. This is always one of my favorite things the Hammond Collection worked out, and it's particularly great here because unlike the Carnotaurus or the T-Rex, the halves aren't ratcheted and can move independently of each other. The back of the head has a fantastic range of motion all around on this ball joint, and the base has even more range, including being able to swivel all the way around. This is actually kind of crazy and a really big step up over most other Hammond Collection releases even. Next, the shoulders hinge really far out and have a great swivel, as well as the elbows, which swivel and then bend in really deep. The wrists are on a hinge and swivel as well, great stuff there. The thighs can rock out a decent bit from the body and then rotate very far forwards and backwards. You've pretty much got all the articulation you could ever need for that joint. Knees, ankle, and toes all have a hinge and swivel, and all of them have great motion all around. Last up, the tail has a really great big round ball joint at the base, and the rest of it is the best articulated tail I think I've ever had on a dinosaur figure. I'm not sure exactly what kind of evil black magic Mattel has been cooking up over at their dinosaur breeding laboratory, but the results are undeniably impressive. This tail is super posable and feels great too. The rubber material feels super high quality, and I have no fears of it ripping or tearing. It's got a really nice, dense weight to it. There may be technically less joints here than the Cyberzoic Allosaurus, but functionally, there is a lot more. Every single articulation spot feels like it's been worked out to its full potential. Nothing lacking or weak. Every joint that you would want to bend can actually bend all the way. The only issue is balance. I feel like this has been regularly brought up in my comment section, but this Allosaurus can be a bit of a hassle when it comes to standing it up. If you're patient and work with him and meet his demands, it can happen, and you can get some really superb stuff, but he seems more prone to toppling over than his other Hammond Collection buddies. I'm not sure why it is. Maybe it's the density of the tail, or the hollow chest, or something about the really long and gangly legs. Whatever the reason, whichever the culprit, that's the one big flaw of this figure. Because that is something to say as well about this Hollywood version of the Allosaurus. He is really thin. Somebody give him a sandwich, or better yet, a Nizoodoceratops. This long and lean look is not even accurate to the on-screen Jurassic World version, which is a lot more Tyrannosaur-like with its stockier head and bulkier proportions. For that, I am glad that this toy is a bit inaccurate because these thinner proportions make it look more like an actual Allosaurus. Now, let's do some size comparisons. From the tip of his tail to the top of his snout, the Hammond Collection Allosaurus is pretty much the same length as the Cyberzoic Allosaurus at right at 20 inches long. But standing in a neutral pose to the top of his back, he's actually just about 7 inches tall. Back again, we've got Action Master Grimlock, the Gary the Gremlin Council of Raptors, some 1/18th scale human characters, and the ever long-awaited return of Big Malcolm. Boy, he sure is big today, ain't he? Everybody comment, boy, Malcolm's big today. Last time we did some Beast of the Mesozoic comparisons, but now I think some more Jurassic comparisons would be apropos. First up, Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Baryonyx, the Stygimoloch, the Parasaurolophus, and last, Allosaurus' best buddy in the whole wide world, the Carnotaurus. I swear, every time I get these two on a shelf together, Thin Lizzy starts playing in my head. Because as you guessed, the boys are back in town. In my head, canonically, these two are best friends, and they sit around and exchange stories about who knows what. Probably sitting around arguing which one of them has eaten more humans. Pulling back out the Hammond Collection Allosaurus to make this part of the video, I see why the original video was only 7 minutes and some change. It's a really great figure, but I don't think there's a ton to say about it. Which, yes, I know sounds like complete hypocrisy coming from a guy who just said exactly 1,775 words about it. That number could be real, or I could have pulled it out of my ass. But you'll never know, since there's no way anyone would be bored enough to count exactly how many words I said during this segment. What I'm saying, in a roundabout way, is that this figure is really good and solid and cool, but that's about all I've got to say about it. Kind of at a loss of words. You know what I mean? The Hammond Collection Buck T-Rex was easy to make a 30-minute review on because it was so darn bad. Hammond Collection Allosaurus? Well, it's an S-tier Hammond Collection figure. There should be a lot more to say about it, but all I'm left with is, it's cool, and I like it. We're going to be very professional now and do this the right way. Today we have 6 very important criteria to evaluate each Allosaurus on, so we can tally it up and decide which one has more points and which one is therefore the winner. On each criteria, each figure will be given a rating out of 5 Garrys. At the end, we tally up all the Garrys and see who won. Number 1 is accuracy, which doesn't mean accuracy to the fossils, put your pitchfork down, it just means accuracy to what it's trying to be. I'll be judging the Cyberzoic compared to the fossils, and the Hammond Collection one compared to the on-screen dinosaur. Next is the completely subjective and arbitrary cool factor. This really just means, is it cool? What does cool mean? Third up, feel/handling. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this one. See what I did there? Fourth is articulation.
Wow.
Fifth is detail, and sixth is bang for your buck.
Wow.
Remember all that, there's gonna be a quiz later. Yeah, it's Cyberzoic. No need to beat about the bush here, Cyberzoic wins this round, hands down. As I already said in so many words, this just looks like a real Allosaurus for as far as anyone here knows. There's a loving amount of detail here making sure this one is accurate. Cyberzoic gets 5 Garrys out of 5 on this one. The Hammond Collection one, when compared to the movie model, is pretty far off the mark. The neck and tail are both much too long and the colors aren't right. However, since I actually like all of these changes, the points aren't going to be too bad. Objectively, compared to the film model, this should earn probably like a 3 out of 5 Garrys at best. But since I like the changes so much, I'm bumping it up to 4 out of 5 Garrys. I'm feeling very kind today. Hammond Collection Allosaurus has been on my good side lately. Now, this is really the most vague and weird out of all the categories. What's cool or not cool to me is gonna be very different to what's cool or not cool to others. I don't think the spikes on the Hammond Collection Allosaurus are cool, but I hardly find the Cyberzoic one cool in the traditional sense of the word, you know, in like a 90s skater's way, because, well, it's just an animal. It is still cool, but not in that way. I guess cool factor should have something to do with the features then, huh? The swappable feet on the Cyberzoic one is cool as well as the stand, but in my opinion, all that pales in comparison with the jaw mechanics and the bendy tail of the Hammond Collection one. Those teeth, tail, and jaw mechanics get Hammond Collection a hot 4 out of 5 Garrys on cool factor, while the Cyberzoic one gets a lukewarm 2. Now, out of all the criteria, it should be known that this one is really the most important to me. It can really make or break a figure. I don't like the Hammond Collection Giganotosaurus on a design level. Looks ugly. Bleh. But the quality and feel of that toy made it an undeniable S-tier Hammond Collection figure for me. Good quality joints and handling can take an F-tier design and make it S-tier for me. That's why this one isn't going to be out of 5 Garrys. We're going to make it out of 10. This is serious. Having said all that, these guys tie. No joke, I think they're both a 6. It's actually pretty funny to me. I think we found a very wild middle ground. It turns out that the best balanced Creative Beast Studios theropod is about on par with the worst balanced Hammond collection theropod. Say what you want about Mattel dinosaurs and their clown shoes, but they can usually stand just fine. The Hammond collection Allosaurus is one of the rare exceptions I have that can't stand effortlessly, so he gets lower. Beasts of the Mesozoic Eutyrannus or Dilophosaurus would probably get a 2 and 4 respectively on this scale, so Cyberzoic Allosaurus with a 6 is doing a lot better than the rest of them, but he's still not great. The Hammond Collection one has got some very thin, tacky feeling plastic and is almost completely hollow. It feels cheap. By contrast, the Cyberzoic Allosaurus is completely dense. There's a really nice satisfying weight to it. He is thick. It feels almost twice as heavy as the Hammond Collection one. They both get 6 points, and let's move on to the next one. This is one where the Hammond Collection Allosaurus really takes a big old step ahead. Like I explained ad nauseum earlier, the Cyberzoic one technically has more joints, but the limited range means you're not going to get much out of it. This Allosaurus, on the other hand, is one of the most posable figures out of the entire Hammond Collection line. It's just almost not a fair comparison. Cyberzoic still gets decent points because all the improvements made over previous figures, and especially because that wicked neck articulation, but it still needs a lot of improvement and will rest at a 3 out of 5. Hammond Collection rocks it with a perfect 5 out of 5, really no notes on anything that could be improved. I guess a torso joint is the only thing that I would want on the Hammond Collection version that's missing, but I think it's safe to say that that's a nitpick. And here's one where the Cyberzoic one can really step ahead. We're going back to back. While the Hammond Collection one is no slump, there are plenty of figures with detail on par or much better. Hammond Collection Allo has got paint and sculpting detail about on par with something like a Marvel Legends figure or a Generations Transformer. Cyberzoic Allosaurus challenges any other figure ever made, with detail that rivals custom paint jobs made by experts. It's really no exaggeration to say that he probably deserves a 6 out of 5 here, but we're gonna be reasonable and stick with that 5 out of 5. The Hammond Collection Allosaurus is not bad, but again, it's nothing super special either. Hammond Collection Allosaurus gets a 2 out of 5 for a pretty good sculpt and a just okay-ish paint job. Alright, I'll be the first to admit, I was wrong earlier. This one is definitely the most subjective ranking. How many dollary dues you got, and how many of them you're willing to fork over for a dinosaur toy is entirely up to you. Prices on these guys tend to vary across websites, but right now, on Big Bad Toy Store, you're looking at a clean $37.99 USD for the Hammond Collection one, and a whopping $149.99 for the Cyberzoic one. Yeah, right? I could not have picked two Allosaurs more completely different in price to compare. The Hammond Collection one is relatively cheap, and considering how much these tend to go on the aftermarket, $40 is nothing. Link in the description, gang. Go check it out. The Cyberzoic one is kind of its own unique situation, because it's not made by a global toy company. It was made by a relatively small company that still has to kickstart their action figure lines. This being more expensive is very understandable, and in addition, it's not like you're not getting your money's worth here. This is a hand-painted, extremely well-sculpted model made from the finest materials with a really nice weight to it. You pick this up and you can feel where your money went. In contrast, the Hammond Collection one feels completely hollow and has that thin, tacky plastic. The plastic in the face feels so thin and brittle that I'm sure that I could just crack it by pulling on it too hard by accident. This was a tough criterion to narrow down, and you can tell I'm locked in over here. I've hardly made any stupid jokes. For the score on this one, Hammond Collection is going to get a 5, and the Cyberzoic one is going to get a 3. I still really love my Cyberzoic Allosaurus, and it's undeniable he's great, but you have to consider this. He is more expensive than the Beast of the Mesozoic Triceratops. And do I think he's better than that figure? No. So then, I guess he must be overpriced in some way, right? Guys, this has been a really fun video to make for me. I am eternally grateful if you've stuck around this long, because this giant mega review has been a project I've been working towards for a while. And deciding which Allosaurus was the best was really tough, since I love both of these so much. The beauty of the Cyberzoic Allosaurus is just how synonymous that figure has become for me with the idea of Allosaurus. I hear the name Allosaurus and the image that comes to mind is this Allosaurus, because for all intents and purposes, this is a model of a real Allosaurus, as close as we know to what the real thing looked like. The Hammond collection Allosaurus has its own unique identity, however. It's clear from these scars and this attitude that this is the Allosaurus from Battle at Big Rock and the Malta scene in Jurassic World Dominion. This is the Hollywood star Allosaurus, and it's a character. This Allosaurus captures the very essence and heart of the creature, while this one captures something very different, the character and personality of a Hollywood star, the Allosaurus. It's honestly really unfair to compare these two, since they're going for such drastically different things. The people who designed these toys didn't stop to think, oh, this will be in a ridiculously long YouTube video evaluated on really weird specific criteria. They just made them. They weren't meant to be pitted against each other in a fight to the death. But here we are. The judges have tallied the scores. The drum roll is beginning. And actually, right before we reveal that winner, this is a perfect time to mention that this competition is completely askew. Yes, even in our very first ever dinosaur debate, there's a massive curveball here. This isn't the only Mattel Allosaurus. Well, obviously, duh, Gary, there's a billion different toys of the Jurassic World Allosaurus. Yes, my little googly grub, it's true. There are dozens of Allosaurs ranging from super colossal to Lego. That's not funny. But what I mean is that there's another one. The original Jurassic World Allosaurus. Say hello to the Fallen Kingdom juvenile Allosaurus. Sometime after Fallen Kingdom's release, and before the Battle at Big Rock short film, someone at Universal must have felt that the Jurassic World Allosaurus wasn't scary or big enough, so they took this original one, roided it up on Tyrannosaur DNA, released the new one, and nobody ever acknowledged this original one again. This is the secret Allosaurus shunned away and forgotten. The evil conjoined twin which was separated at birth and lived a lonely life in the attic eating fish heads. Jurassic World Mattel Fallen Kingdom Roarivores Allosaurus from 2018. I really like him. I'm sad he got retconned/killed. This Allosaurus design is like the answer to every single problem I have with the now main one. There's no dependence on ugly scutes or spikes. The color scheme is vibrant and unique, and it hasn't been oversized and, well, tyrannosaurified. Check out this sleek but still wrinkly skin. It really gives the texture appearance of something like elephant skin, and I really like that. It feels much more bird-like than the uber crocodilian hide of the other guy. I also really like the slate gray and pastel yellow color scheme. It's two really unique colors that actually I think work together great. I'm not going to lie to you and say that this figure is Allosaurus Jesus and that it deserves to win the entire competition. It still has its fair share of problems. Hell, it can barely stand, and it's got that horrible thing where the mouth is always open, and then you press the button to close it. I always hate when they do it that way. It should be the other way around, right? Right. But in many ways, it's much more accurate, appealing, and unique than the other Allosaurus. Obviously, it's nowhere near as posable, being a basic mainline figure and all, and those extra thick teeth are very unsightly, as well as that really small tail. But there's a lot good here as well. I love the color for the tongue. It's so gross and icky, but in a good way. Like a big slug crawled into his mouth and died there. Also, note that the yellow printing goes down near all of the length of the tail and is on the front and back of his legs. The $40 premium collector version has calves and shins completely unpainted, and the last 2 inches of the tail is just bare. But the $14 mainline version has all that and more. It's just such a shame to me that this is the Allosaurus that got away. He seems fun. Seems like he's a great guy to hang out with. And this is the only figure I know of this design. Sure, I think there was a repaint, but he just kind of got swept under the rug, and no one thinks about him anymore. No one but me. That's why I'm voting Juvenile Allosaurus for Hammond Collection 2026. That's all I want. Juvenile Allosaurus and Caudilarhynchus, and my life will be complete. As for the actual competition, let's get that drum roll going again and pray there are no interruptions this time. Cyberzoic is in second place with 24 points, and Hammond Collection gets first place with a nice clean 26. It was a relatively close tie. Considering that a perfect score would have been a 35 out of 35, I think our boys did pretty good. In my opinion, these two are just about as good as each other, and hell, I could have told you that without a whole point system involved. If you wanted a landslide victory, sorry Mac, it's just not the series for that. Hammond Collection Allosaurus ekes it out just by a bit, which, you know, he deserved it. He needed a win right now. And you know, maybe the real Allosaurus comparison video was the friends we made along the way. I'm Gary the Gremlin, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and a big thank you, the biggest of thank yous, to Big Bad Toy Store for gifting me this figure for the review. Make sure to go check them out using the link in the description. If this was your first time watching a Gary the Gremlin video, then welcome to the channel and stick around for the community showcase. It's a little section where I post action figure photos, memes, and other stuff from my community tab. Like, comment, and subscribe, and post your own photos in the community tab, and you might just make it into the end of a video, just like this one. Alright, that's it for this one. Gary the Gremlin, out.